wasn't supposed to be up there yet, but those are my kids. So it was the summer after my senior year of high school. I went to our neighborhood pool in Salt Lake City, and I decided to go off the high dive, which I normally don't do, but I thought I'd do it. So I climbed up the ladder, got up on the diving board, and as I was up there waiting for the person in front of me to get out of the pool, I looked down and saw a group of kids looking up at me. And they said, Chase, do a cannonball. I kind of laughed, looked the other way. I'm still waiting for the people to get out of the pool. And I look back, and before I know it, literally the entire pool of kids is saying, cannonball. Literally hundreds of kids. It felt like hundreds of kids. All the parents staring at me. You see, this situation was exacerbated because of this. At my biggest, I weighed 330 pounds. And shockingly, don't have a lot of pictures from this phase of my life. It was a year later, but... So I'm standing there up on the diving board, hundreds of people yelling cannonball. It is like the stuff nightmares are made out of, right? So I go, and I give the kids what they want. I actually did a can opener because you get a bigger splash. I did a can opener, and thinking back on that, so anyways, the kids laugh, cheer, whatever, And thinking back, this should have been traumatizing. I was 330 pounds, hundreds of people staring at me, laughing up on the diving board. But it really wasn't at all because of what happened next. I got out of the pool, and my 6 best friends high-fived me, put their arms around me. We laughed about it, and we went and ate 3 or 4 cheeseburgers. When I was 4 years old, I grew up in Salt Lake, like I said, and my mom organized a play group with 6 friends that lived within 3 blocks of me. These guys right here. And to this day, these are still my best friends. These 6 guys, we did elementary school, junior high, high school. 5 of the 6 of us joined the same fraternity in college. And literally every memory I have of my childhood involves some combination of these guys. And I will forever be grateful for them. I learned at a young age the value of true friendship. And I honestly can say, as a 330-pounder, of course I struggled with confidence at times. But these guys instilled a confidence in me that I would not have had otherwise. And I'll forever be grateful for them. Like I said, I grew up in Salt Lake, and I absolutely love Salt Lake. Everything to do with the University of Utah. And I grew up in a big Mormon family. I'm the youngest of 4 kids. So with my 2 parents, there were 6 of us. And what was 6 is now 27, soon to be 28. My 3 older siblings all have at least 5 kids. So the fact that Melissa and I only have 2 means that we're bringing down the curve. But luckily the GSP has made me very comfortable in bringing down the curve. And I don't know if you've heard this, but they say redheads are actually going extinct. And they really do say that. If you look at this picture, we say not so fast. Second grade, our teacher had us do a project where we had to write a note to our hero and tell them why they're our hero. And literally every kid in my class wrote to either their mom or their dad, and I wrote to the starting quarterback of our high school. I've never met. And I tell this story, one, to show my obsession with sports from the time I was young, but secondly, my dad really is my hero. What mattered to me about my dad when I was young was not the fact that he had a successful career or had powerful positions in our community, but the fact that he would leave to work at 6 a.m. every day so he could be home for dinner most nights. The fact that he coached all of my teams even though he didn't have the time. I didn't care that he was a lawyer, but I did care that he came to rescue my friends when we were in a bind with the law. I played football and basketball in high school and rugby. And every day after a game, I would wake up to 2 pages of notes from my dad telling me what I did well in the game, what I'd improved upon, and what I could do better. And this sounds a little intense, but it really wasn't intense at all. He was just very committed to me, and I'll forever be grateful for that. He, to this day, is one of my best, he is my best friend, and I talk to him on a daily basis. And while he was successful and had a lot of success in his career, there's no doubt who was the boss of our house. It was my mom. And I loved it. I loved growing up with a strong woman, a strong female presence in our household. She has taught English and journalism on and off throughout her life. And when I was young, she actually started a newspaper in Salt Lake called the Parent Express that was all about parenting kids. And it was just an awesome example to me of combining her love for parenting and for journalism. In fact, a story that I think of with her, when I think I was 17 or 18, and I looked over and saw her crying in the corner of the kitchen. And so I naturally walked over and looked what was going on, and she was holding a $10 bill and a card, and all it said on the card was, "You were right." And so I naturally asked her what was up with that, and she told the story that she was teaching high school at the time, and shared a room with a woman who was like 30, maybe her late 20s or 30s, who was pregnant. And this lady was complaining to my mom about having a kid and all the inconveniences it was going to bring to her life and the negative changes. And all my mom said to her was, "I'll bet you $10 you'll love that kid more than anything you've loved in your life." And this was her returning the note with $10 months later. When I was 10 years old, my family set a goal to read scriptures every day as a family. I have a very religious family. And I was 10, all my siblings were teenagers, and so the only time that worked for all of us to get together was 6 o'clock in the morning. So every morning my parents would go around, they'd come and wake us up at 6 a.m. and drag us into their bedroom. And the idea is that we would sit in a circle and read scripture, read a few chapters, and then get on with our day. Well, as you can imagine, as teenagers, 10 years old, it's not our first choice to be there. And so one by one, we would make our way into their bed. So the 4 kids would be in my parents' bed, and they'd be standing reading us scriptures. Well, eventually my mom would join us as well, so it'd be just my dad, the lone one left standing reading us scriptures. And as we were laying there, obviously the lights were bugging us, so we would complain to my dad about how bright it was. So I have a bunch of memories as a kid of the 4 kids and my mom asleep in my parents' bed, the lights off, and him out in the hallway reading us 15 minutes every morning. And to me, I tell this story because it kind of feels like it sums up my childhood. It was far from perfect in a lot of ways, but I had incredible people around me who were supporting me and encouraging me, and honestly doing more for me than I probably deserved. Like I said, as a 330-pound redhead, I had plenty of insecurities, issues with confidence, but they gave me confidence when I didn't have it. Growing up in an active Mormon family, there's definitely social pressures to follow in the faith. I think some of these are good, and some of them honestly are not so good. But one of these pressures is to go on a mission. In our faith, when you turn 18 or 19, you have the option to go on a mission if you want, and it's not required, but strongly encouraged. So when I turned 19, I went on a mission, and I honestly went more out of duty than desire. And when I got out there, I served my mission in the Netherlands, and when I got out there, I realized I was a long ways from home, and that I didn't really know what I believed in for myself. For years, I had relied on the faith of my parents and my friends and my family, and I realized I wasn't going to spend 2 years of my life doing something that I didn't feel good about or I didn't believe in. And honestly, this feeling of my whole support system getting ripped out from under me was the best thing that ever happened to me. It forced me to find out for myself what I believed in. So I went through a process of studying and praying a lot, and through that developed my own personal relationship with God and Jesus Christ, something I'll forever be grateful for. And I concluded that while there are a lot of things that I don't know and I don't understand, and questions that I can't answer, I do believe that my faith has brought a lot of happiness to my life and a lot of hope to my life and the lives of my family. I saw it with the people around me. They just had a sense of being grounded, and it gave a certain perspective that I wanted in my life. So going through this process lit a fire under me, and I had an incredible mission, and it really was an inflection point in my life. As I like to say, it was transformative in every way, including physically. I lost 100 pounds in the first 5 months of my mission. And this was 5 months in, 100 pounds lighter. I put a few back on since then. So I got off a mission and went to the flagship university in the state of Utah. University of Utah. And I was going to play football. It was a dream of mine to play football there my whole life. I got home, ended up getting hurt in several ways, and it just wasn't in the cards. So I decided to play rugby. I played rugby for 4 years. This was actually against BYU. I dropped a kid on his head and got a yellow card. Sorry, babe. Yeah, so I played rugby, which actually freed up time to do other things, which I was very grateful for. So when I graduated, I got very lucky and got a job at Goldman, which, to be honest, I didn't like at all. I didn't really love Goldman. But I'll forever be grateful for it, because when I started working there, I noticed this cute girl who sat by the water cooler, by the kitchen. And I quickly became good friends with Melissa, who worked there. And as we started hanging out and becoming better friends, I was developing a crush on her, but there was one big elephant in the room. I'm a redhead, and she's a redhead. It's the unwritten rule, redheads don't date. I've never been interested in a redhead, never dated. She felt the same. So finally I got the courage to get over this, and we started hanging out, and she was amazing. We started dating, and things were going great. When we had been dating for several months, we went out to dinner one night, and we were sitting at the bar having a pizza, and the lady next to us was just staring at me. And you can just feel the presence of someone staring at you. So finally I lean over to small talk and ask her how she's doing. She says, okay, I've just got to ask, are you guys married or are you siblings? And we laughed and said, well, neither, we're actually just dating. She said, oh my gosh, that is so cute. It's like when a dog matches its dog owner. So we looked at her and said, thank you. Well, we don't quite understand that. I think she meant well by it. So on top of the redhead thing, there are a few other hurdles for me to get over. Melissa went to BYU. BYU has been my personal rival since I was 3 years old. And if I married a BYU girl, I just feared my friends would never look at me the same. Secondly, she was a vegetarian, and I wondered what I was going to eat the rest of the day. So as we kept dating, Melissa was amazing. She was smart, funny, capable, beautiful. Honestly, all the things I wanted in a wife. To sum it up, I came home one day. We were dating or engaged, I can't remember. I came home. I walk in the door, and my roommate says, oh, Chase, happy birthday. And I kind of laughed. I'm like, well, it's not even close to my birthday, but thank you. And I asked, why? What makes you think it's my birthday? He said, oh, sorry, go down in your room. So I went down to my room, and Melissa had done this beautiful collage of photos on my wall. And on the back of every one, written a note about the reason she loved me or loved our relationship. And my friend just assumed someone would only do something that nice if it was your birthday. So to sum it up, she makes every day feel like my birthday. And now that we've been married 3+ years and have 2 kids, I think back on those superficial things that were honestly barriers to me, the redhead thing and the vegetarian thing. I'm so grateful that those didn't stop me from making the greatest decision I've ever made. Still working on the BYU thing. So when we got married, I had a very clear vision of what I wanted in life. We actually want a very big family. We want to have 6 to 8 kids. Maybe the upper end of that. We want to have 8 kids. And I just have this vision of 8 redheads running around our backyard in Salt Lake City. Melissa and I sitting on the porch, sipping Diet Cokes. It sounds amazing. And just 3 weeks after our wedding, a curveball entered our lives. And I'm actually going to invite Melissa up to help tell this story. Before she says it, a little context that will make sense in a minute. Part of our belief system is we try not to have sex before marriage.
And we didn't. So, we had been married for 3 weeks, and Chase surprised me with a ski trip. I love to ski. Chase did not skied for like 10 years, and so this was certainly a love offering. The morning was so fun. It was amazing. We were having a great time, and I was having visions of skiing with our children one day and Chase teaching them, and then I turned the corner and down a huge slope I see Chase's body sprawled on the snow with skis and poles like 50 feet in the opposite direction in a 90-degree angle. And I called him, are you okay? And he says he's okay, but is kind of holding his shoulder. So we figure we should probably go to the medic just to make sure everything's okay. So we go to the medic, and he is checking out Chase and asking him about the pain in his shoulder. And Chase interrupts him and says, I'm okay. I've had a concussion before, but I'm just coming out of it. I'm like, okay. How's the pain in your shoulder? And he asks him more about the injury, and Chase, again, 30 seconds later says, oh, I'm okay. I've had concussions before, but I'm just coming out of it. And at that point, the medic and I kind of look at each other, like, and shifts his questioning to, Chase, do you know where you are right now? And Chase just smiling, looks around, like, no. I've had a concussion before, and I'm okay. I'm just coming out of it. And at that point, I need a medic because I'm going to drop to the ground. As he's repeating himself, he repeated that phrase over and over. Every minute he said that same phrase, and my life was beginning to feel like a Lifetime movie. Like 3 weeks married, husband loses memory, like she has to do 50 first dates him, whatever. So at that point, the medic says, you need to go to the emergency room. He needs to have a CAT scan to make sure there's no internal bleeding. And so we load up into the car, and it's at this point that a new loop begins. And it goes something like this. Chase looks down and sees that he's in ski gear. And says,
Wait, were we skiing?
yes, we were skiing. You surprised me with tickets for our wedding, and we have been skiing.
We're married?
Yes, we've been married for 3 weeks now.
Are we having sex? We'll cut that one.
Next part. And then he says, is it bitchin'?
So supposedly we had that conversation literally 10 or 15 times. Unfortunately, Melissa got a good lick into my subconscious that day. My first memory was at 9 o'clock that night, and I actually woke up in a hot tub, which is a great place to go. But I don't remember a thing from skiing. I don't remember the drive to the hospital, In fact, we stayed at a cabin the weekend before, and I don't have one memory from the cabin. None of it. And on top of a concussion, I actually blew out my shoulder and needed reconstructive surgery on my shoulder. And I've since had that was a third shoulder surgery I had, and I've since had a fourth one on my right shoulder. I've played sports my whole life, and a lifetime of playing football and rugby has definitely taken a toll on my body. Like I said, I've had 4 shoulder surgeries, I've had 4 knee surgeries, I ruptured my Achilles tendon, I've had a stress fracture in my back that has had lasting effects, and several other minor surgeries. I wake up in pain almost every day, with sharp pains in my shoulder and an aching pain in my back. Last year, when I had my 4th shoulder surgery, a doctor told me I have the shoulder of a 75-year-old. I have barely any cartilage left, and I have arthritis already in my shoulder. That same doctor told me that I should never lift weights again, and that my days of playing any sport, including golf and basketball, are limited. This is hard for me to hear because I love all those things. I love golf. I dream of playing golf with my kids. I love basketball. I dream of playing basketball with my kids. And on top of this, the not lifting part, my workouts are getting worse and worse every day. Something about me, I actually wake up at 5 a.m. every single day and go to the gym. Deep down, I'm sure this stems from some psychological fear and damage from being 330 pounds. For years, while lifting every day and having football practice and rugby practice, I established terrible eating habits. I was on the all-you-can-eat diet. In those sports, there's an obsession with getting bigger and stronger. And from this, I developed terrible habits and probably food addictions from eating 6,000 or 7,000 calories a day to try to get bigger and stronger. And I feel like on a daily basis, I'm fighting down that 330-pound baby-faced kid that lives inside of me almost every day. Thus, the thought of no longer being able to work out is a scary thought for me of where that could go. But you know what? Even if this is the case, if I can never golf again, if I can never lift weights, if my workouts get worse and worse, I'm okay with accepting that. I'll hopefully find new hobbies, find new ways to recreate myself, and I'm optimistic that I can handle that okay. I feel like it's more or less in my control. The scary thing for me, though, is my brain. This was my 5th concussion, the 3rd severe one, and the 3rd one that hospitalized me. A lot has been made lately of concussions, if you followed it with football, and a disease called CTE, which a lot of people get after playing. The scary thing about CTE is that it doesn't show up for 10 to 20 years after your last concussion. And it not only shows up with headaches and migraines and forgetfulness, memory loss, but it also shows up in some pretty nasty mental health issues. Severe depression, social instability, erratic behavior, mood swings. The disease is so nasty that there's a trend of NFL players committing suicide, shooting themselves in the chest, and leaving a note behind asking that their brain be studied. So obviously this scares me. Having had 5 concussions, the data shows that I'm 10 times more likely to struggle with depression in my life than someone who has had no concussions. My greatest source of happiness in life comes from the relationships I have with my wife, my kids, my friends, and to think that my ability to be the husband I want to be and the father I want to be may be compromised because of side effects from my concussions is a scary thought. It's probably my greatest fear in life. And it begs the question, do I regret playing sports? Sports has been a huge part of my life since I was 3 years old. I now have all this pain and concussions. My weight's been a roller coaster. And to be honest, I don't regret playing at all. It's been such a great part of my life, so many great relationships and friendships made. If I'm not a college athlete, I probably don't get a job at Goldman, which means I don't meet Melissa. If I don't go to Goldman, I don't get my next job, which means I'm probably not here. So it's impossible for me to imagine a life without sports. So to be honest, I can't regret playing. That said, ask me in 15 years, and we'll see if it's a different answer. And that leads me to today. Melissa and I have been married for 3 years. I think this picture kind of sums it up. This is my son Alex, and we're in our own world watching. And Melissa's trying to hold us all together. Melissa worked at Goldman for 7 years and was doing great. She left that to prioritize taking care of our kids. We have a small business that she runs from home, meaning I report to her, which I love. But her true identity is as a mom. What she does with raising our kids is infinitely harder than anything I will ever do at school or at work. And I'm very grateful for that, and I place huge value in that. I'm so grateful for what she does for our kids, and I believe what she's doing is the most important job there is in life. We have been blessed to have 2 great kids. I have a mini-me, which is cool. This is my son Alex, who's 2 years old. Alex is happy, adventurous, has a ton of energy, and gives us a run for our money every day. This is our little angel Lucy, who was born on the 4th of July last year. Lucy is learning to roll with the punches, literally. Alex will come up and hit her or kick her, and she'll cry for a few seconds, but then immediately forgive him and start laughing with him 5 seconds later. She's the best. Having kids is the greatest thing in the world. It's taught me more about love than anything else in my life. And it's hard. It's a lot of work. It's exhausting at times, but I wouldn't trade it for the world. To sum it up, the other day, Alex walked in the room. I said, "Hey, Alex, come give Daddy a hug." So he ran up to me, ran behind me, lifted up my shirt, and just pinched my love handle. on to it. And as he was holding on to it, I remember the distinct thought, well, I saw that going a little differently. And I feel like about 95% of parenting is this way. Well, that didn't go as planned. Not always for the worse or for the better. Examples like this. We have one candle in our house, and we try to put the candle the one place we thought he couldn't reach it, but you walked in on this. Or Lucy was trying to take a nap. On the nap with her. Well, 95% of the time feels like total chaos at times with kids. The other 5%, the moments when time slows down, for me that's as good as life gets. Moments like putting Alex to sleep when he holds my hand and looks up and tells me he loves me. Or when Lucy falls asleep on my chest. Or even better, watching Melissa, the incredible mom she is, and our kids appreciating her for what she does. The big takeaway for me is that life is amazing. It's unpredictable, but it's amazing. I've been incredibly blessed to have amazing people around me my whole life. More than I deserve, and it's made all the difference. I think life is hard enough as it is and complicated enough as it is, and having people in my corner who are loyal to me has made all the difference. I can only hope to be that person for others. Thank you.
Question.
Yeah, so my wife Janet asked me to make sure if I got to say anything to you tonight to say that Alex and Lucy are both awesome. And, very
Thank
cute,
you.
so that's just want to
Thank
get
you.
that out there. A lot of things I could comment on, like also played football, also some of the same things as you and I have discussed. But I guess my main question is, faith is also very important to us, and I'm curious how the two of you think about passing along your faith to your children in a way that like you can do as yourself, and also giving them a choice. How do you think about that?
It's a great question. I think it's a very tough balance, to be honest, because of course I want my kids to follow in the faith that I have, but at the same time that would never change. If they chose not to, that would never change the way I felt about them and the love I had for them. I think for me, my parents honestly did a great job of just setting the example, but never pressuring me. On Sundays, I knew they'd wake up and go to church every Sunday, and it was encouraged I would go. If I didn't want to go, I didn't have to go. And like I said, the example of reading scriptures as a family and praying together as a family every day, I think instilled it in me. But that said, I think, you love your kids no matter what, and we're trying to figure that out. Thank you. There you go.
So if Alex wanted to play football, how would you feel?
I had a feeling this question was going to come. To be honest, I would let him play at this point. I think it would be, to be a responsible parent, I think I'll have to follow the research and the data. At this point, I think at this point the data says that after your second concussion is where you really get in trouble. And so we probably would have like a 2-strike rule in our house. We haven't talked about this. But sorry.
I'm all ears.
I think we would have like a 1 or 2 strike rule. That you Thank you. Yeah.
When do you plan to have your third one, since you're aiming for 8?
Well, the clock is ticking. Yeah. As soon as we can.
Last question.
Pick one day that was your athletic peak and tell us about it.
Well, we just had an intramural game where we lost to a pretty bad team, so. No, like I said, I dreamt of playing football, and when that didn't happen, I ended up playing rugby. which was a great opportunity, and I think luckily one of my best games was against BYU, coincidentally, and they were ranked number 1 in the country, but we knocked them off, and I had an okay game.